Hey, this is Matthew from Nerd News Today, and this is Andrew Sumner from Titan.
It's me.
That's him.
The real me, not the fake one. The real me.
So we met the
Not
fake
here in
one.
New York.
We ended him. We ended
That
him last
guy-
year.
That guy talks too much. The
Oh, God.
fake one talks a lot.
And his breath. Ugh.
Oh yeah, mate, it's the worst. It's absolutely the worst. It's all the pastrami. Me, on the other hand, I'm a vegetarian, so we're all good.
Pescatarian, or because you got fish and chips, right? I mean,
Oh, we got fish and chips, but over the years, mainly as I've got in less and less good physical shape, I've lurched towards becoming a vegetarian, and it reaps benefits, my friend. I'm telling you.
this video's gone nowhere so far.
Yeah, we're not answering any questions you're interested in, just the ones I want to talk about.
That sounds about right. All right. Well,
Yeah.
we have some better questions than that, though.
Hit me, man.
We have from the Titans unofficial merchandise appreciation site. I'm sorry, I'm butchering your name. It's been a long day. We have fan questions from the Facebook group of Titan lovers out there, and I'll make sure to link it below.
The unofficial Titan Merchandise Society.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
There we go. Dave Duff, the Duffmeister.
Yes. Thank you, Dave Duff, in fact. All right, so yeah, we have all of your questions here, and we've got Andrew with us now, and he's going to hopefully answer them or tell me to piss off because he won't say anything about these things.
Correct. Or somewhere in between the two.
Yes.
Maybe there's a polite alternative. Yeah. We shall see, Matt.
This is New York. We don't get too polite here.
Yeah.
So let's start things off. Simon Cordell would like to know, Star Trek, can we get an expanded line in any of the Star Trek things?
We would love to do an expanded Star Trek line. And you might hear me say this answer more than once. That will depend upon two things. Not our ability to do it, because we can do it, but the market's appetite. Outside of hardcore fans like myself, who've seen every single episode of Star Trek, full stop, every single one, love it. Outside of people like me who would buy anything, the equation is always how many people are we going to be able to sell this to? If there's a market out there for it, we'll do it, for sure.
All right, I'd like to see it.
All planned out.
Yeah. I'd love to see it one day, too. Brittany Platt would like to know, Harry Potter.
I think I've answered this question a number of times, by the way. Not to decry your question, Brittany, which is excellent, which is I would love to do Harry Potter. I would love to do it. Currently, it is not a license we have. I would love to get it. But it's currently not a license we have. I would love to get it in the future, though.
And she'd also like to know about Grey's Anatomy.
Right. Well, that's an excellent show. I doubt very much that we will ever do vinyl figures, Titans vinyls for Grey's Anatomy, but it's a great question. And it's a good show. And I met Ellen Pompeo once at San Diego about 2-3 years ago. She was in the line in front of me getting a cup of coffee. And I said, I really love your show. And she said, I appreciate that, thank you. So there we go. She's very polite.
That story had a much happier ending. I'm a little annoyed. I was hoping she'd throw the coffee in your face.
It would be better, wouldn't it? I've had that happen too, but not by her. She was very polite.
All right. Jason Borth wants to know, for the 3 6.5-inch 13th Doctor figures, he says they could really use sonic screwdrivers. I heard that they didn't originally come with them due to the design not being made available to the various toy manufacturers in time. Well, would it be possible to get them now?
No. There's the answer.
Sorry, Jason.
Yeah. I mean, I totally take your point, though, mate. I'm going to tell you something that's even more annoying. So we had them sculpted and ready to go, but we couldn't release them at the time because they hadn't been released to the public. And there's no mechanic to get them out. They haven't been produced, and there's no mechanics to get them out there and produced without losing a ton of money. That's the issue. We have to do it and be able to sell it, but there's no market to sell them separately. I realise there's a couple of people say in the Tussums group and elsewhere that we could sell them to one-on-one, but not in the numbers that involve going into manufacture, where you have to manufacture to scale. So you can't produce 10, you have to produce several thousand. It's a real crying shame, and I can totally understand where you're coming from, guys, but sadly we can't move any further with those.
Sorry, Jason.
I'll just add one other thing. Any other pieces we do of 13 in future will always have a Sonic, though.
So there you go. That's some good news, at least. Marty Rickow would like to know, would you guys ever do a mixed license line similar to the Funko horror and sci-fi mystery minis? So basically combining multiple franchises into one set.
Yes. Yes, Marty, we would. We will do that.
That's all you're going to get out of him today. Jessica A. Sanchez would like to know, will you ever do any anime licenses? Either one series, like let's say My Hero Academia, for example, or perhaps a mixed line of My Hero Academia and Dragon Ball, all those kinds of things.
An excellent question, and the best way I can answer that is that's absolutely probably the thing I would love to do more than anything else right now. So yes, I would love to do that, and that is firmly on my radar as a concept. We're both big fans. My kids, who, if you've met them and if you come to San Diego, you will have met them, who are adults, they love those properties. So I've spent the last 10 years of my life watching that stuff. and I love it as well. Yes, I'm a big fan. Matt and I are big fans of that.
So Vic By now would like to know, for the Doctor Who Kawaii line, will that line continue, and will it include characters besides the Doctor, so like villains, companions, and if that was going to be reality, when could that happen?
Okay, it will continue in one form or another, for sure, because it's very popular. Certainly relative to the performance of our later Doctor Who waves, it was a real spike. It was very popular. In terms of who will be included, that is really about the appetite of the retail market to buy those figures. Yeah, so it's really about what retail buyers are prepared to buy, because the way the model works is we don't sell direct to customer. Direct to customer sales aren't that massive for anybody in this business. What you do is you sell into retail, and whether you see a lot of something or a small amount of something is all about what's hot at retail, which translates to what the general public is buying in large volumes at the moment. So when Who is super popular and peaking, a lot of people are buying Who, which gives us the ability to do a lot of stuff. When not as many people en masse are buying it, it's just a hardcore, we can't produce as many things if it's just a hardcore fandom. It's just the basic economics of it. So I would love to do more non-pure Doctor, or not just Tardis, kawaii figures. I would love to do that. And in fact, we have several waves of stuff planned out. But as to whether we do it or not, it will be down to whether there's a retail appetite for it.
And he also wants to know about any 6.5-inch figures of the older Doctors.
Well, we've got. Oh yeah, I get it. So we have 6.5s of everybody from 9 onwards.
Yes.
Yeah. I doubt very much that we'll ever do any of the older Doctors. Again, that is about the appetite of retail to buy old Who here in the US. And even though we're creatively English, and I've said this before, Matt, creatively we're an English company, but actually functionally, we're a US business, and the US is our primary market. And actually, you don't even see that much old Doctor Who stuff released in the UK at the moment. Yeah, so that's the answer. If retailers buy it, we'll produce it. So, the best thing to do is if you want to see this stuff come out, is focus on one retail group and petition them to see it. If there's an appetite, we can produce it, and we've certainly got the designs.
So Jason Borth, another question from Jason. Let's try not to disappoint him again. He wants to know if there's going to be any more upscale TARDISes. So he'd love to see a scuffed-up War Doctor TARDIS, or even the pink one from the Happiness Patrol episode.
There will certainly be more upscale TARDISes, yes.
All right. Dave Duff, he wants to know if there's any plans for more TARDIS consoles. He'd like to get one for 13.
No. I say there's no plans. That's not a flat no, we'll never do it. There are no plans right now.
Right now, Sarah Rebecca Hope Muntner asks, are they going to continue with super rare figures? Now, I believe you already answered this one in an interview with somebody else.
Yeah. Actually, I've answered this, and I totally respect and appreciate the question. I'll answer it as many times as people ask. But actually, the definitive answer is no, we're not doing any super or ultra rare figures, because essentially the hardcore collectors of Titans, or the most committed Titans collectors, all en masse hated them. And we got nothing but deeply criticised. Which I don't mind being criticised at all. I'm cool with it. I wasn't personally hurt, but all we got was, no, this is a terrible idea, don't do it. Even though the only reason we did it is because of the bunch of people who requested it, which is why we do anything we do. But I think it played out ultimately as, despite the strength of the request to do it, the dismay at us doing it outweighed the strength of the request to do it. So just out of, we could do it easily, but just out of respect and appreciation for our hardcore fan base, we've got no plans to do any more. And that, you will remember this, Matt, en masse, nobody wanted us to do super or rare anymore.
I know, I don't like having to hunt those things down either. Such a pain. Matt Harrington wants to know, what's the status of the 3-inch Twin Peaks line?
Dead. It's not going to happen.
All right, so no Twin Peaks at all.
So I'd love to do it, but again, it's about the appetite to buy those figures. We did the creatively, what we did on Twin Peaks, some of the best stuff we've ever done if you've seen those designs. And certainly, you see Agent Cooper and you see Gordon Cole. We're really so happy with the way they turned out. But again, we can only make things if people are going to buy them. That's the key. And they have to be bought in significant amounts to be worthwhile producing.
And he also wants to know about classic Doctor Who companions. Could there ever be a set for those, or just more of them?
What we tried to do with Classic Companions, that's a great question, because as you know, we've started to seed a couple of those Classic Companions into the waves that we've done. There'll never be a standalone wave which will just be Classic Companions, because they won't sell enough to justify making. So the way it would work is we're going to try on an ongoing basis, and how frequently that will be, I can't tell you right now, but on an ongoing basis, we will try and sort of fold in the Classic Companions we can get away with producing. So I would love to produce a whole set of Classic Companions. They're all designed, but again, it's like getting people to buy them, and when by people I mean retailers. So that's the answer. I would ask how much pure. I guess the illustration of what I'm saying really is, how many pure examples do you see of Classic Companions released as standalone toys? And I can't think of any examples.
Not too many. There's like the Underground guys. They used to do a bunch, but they, it was still a one and done kind of thing.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's one and done. Doing it en masse, you did just the sales aren't there. You say, hey, right on, good.
Interview bombed.
So so that's the answer. We'd love to do it, but I doubt very much that'll happen.
And last question. This is a bit of an enigmatic one from Dave Duff. He says that he heard you at some point say something about a new and exciting Titan form or figure at some other point in recent times. Are you able to elaborate on that? Do you know what he's asking about?
Yeah, I do know about that, and I can talk about that. That's a great question, actually, Dave. Good,
Dave.
Good. So we will. We've got the new release announcements we make. You remember we debuted Kawaii with Doctor Who. We will have some new license announcements that wrap around the Kawaii form, and then some new license announcements that wrap around a hybrid form. It's not going to be called a hybrid form, but that's what it is. And what that will be is a Kawaii or Kawaii-esque body, but with the detailed head sculpts that we have on a Titan, on a classic Titan. So it'll be a new form of Titan with a new name, which will be detailed heads, but the Kawaii-style bodies, or an evolution of the Kawaii-style bodies.
Yeah. I've got a question now for you guys too. Now, my own question.
Say, when I make the announcement about the next thing we're doing, it will be completely obvious why that's a very logical thing to do. When you see what the license is, you will see straight away that you remember this moment in about a month's time when I tell you what the next thing we're doing is. You go, that's why they're doing the bodies like that. It will be absolutely obvious.
All right. Well, we will wait and see. Now, my question for you: articulated figures. Could that ever be a thing that Titan Vinyl does, or Titan could do in general?
No more than we do at the moment, because essentially we're about vinyl collectibles which don't have our kind of vinyl collectibles don't have a heavy amount of articulation. Yeah, that's right. I mean, there are guys in this space who do heavy articulation. The best example I can think of would be our pals at the Loyal Subjects. They really specialise in that, but it's not our area of specialty. Our area of specialty is photorealistic sculpting. So, all of our resource goes into those head sculpts and making them look so accurate. Whether that starts out as, Ricky Whittle from American Gods, or it starts out as Tyrion Lannister, or it starts out as a Cartoon Network character like Johnny Bravo or Samurai Jack. We want it to look as much like the source material as possible, and that's what all our research goes into. So if you look at guys like the Loyal Subjects guys, they have a lot of articulation. The complexity of what they do goes into that, but they don't do likeness. They do characterization. Caricature. I mean, so it's what you tend to focus on, and traditionally the focus of our waves. The success of what we've done has been photorealistic sculpting as opposed to heavy articulation. And that's just not our particular bag. There are other guys out there who do that much better than we could, Loyal Subjects, in the same way that we can sculpt likeness way better than they can get close to. And everybody has their strength, right? Do you know what I mean? In the same way that, to talk about another person in the vinyl space, that the Goliath in the vinyl space is Funko.
He who shall not be named.
Yeah, and their real specialty is, and the brilliance of what they do is taking an overriding design form and making each license look like that. Yeah, well, that's never been what we're about. We're about really delivering the likeness, and that's personally what I'm interested in. Stuff that looks like the source material, rather than stuff that you can pose in lots of different ways. I personally am not as interested in that. Although I know there are people who are, and I totally respect that, but it's not what we do. if that makes sense, mate.
Makes sense for me. So thank you guys for sending in those questions.
Thanks
We really
so much,
appreciate it.
everybody. I do appreciate it. That's good. They are great questions. And, if the answer's no, or, we won't be doing that, I'm sorry, but my view is always that I generally, I want to give answers that people want to hear. But by the same token, it's better for you guys and for me and for everybody if it's never going to happen, if I tell you that rather than just pull the string along. Because what annoys me as a fan is non-specific answers for 5 years, and when you get to the point that it's a no, it's like, wait a minute, the answer was no the whole time. I'd rather you guys just know straight up.
Yep. Very true. All right. Well, Andrew, thank you so much for your time today.
Mate,
Appreciate it so
thank
much
you so
for going
much.
in for the
Thank
hug.
you.
Oh,
Thank
and the
you, mate.
kiss.
He's
Oh,
such a great player. This guy, right? This fucking guy. Mwah, he's great.
my head
Thank
feels
you.
so wet right now.
Yeah, I know, yeah. But it's very clean, by the way. Smells great.
Yeah.
Matt Case smells great.
Herb
Smells
Essences, thank you.
Yeah, good.
Thank you, Herb
Good job.
Essences.
Yeah.
Thank you, Andrew. Appreciate your time.
Oh, always, mate. Always, brother. Oh, there's my
Oh, we're
coat
gonna-
getting
yeah,
in the
all
way.
right.
Yeah, of course.
Do
It's
the-
great. Yeah,
Thanks.
this
interview's gone.
So we don't do the fist bumping. We just do handshakes like this. Thank you
Well,
very much.
you're in America, buddy, so we're fist bumping.
Okay, boom.